The Unity Coalition for Israel, together with the Democracy Under Attack Project, present The Battle for Truth, a symposium held in Nashville, Tennessee at the 2012 National Religious Broadcasters Convention. After witnessing the presentation of the Champion of Religious Freedom Award to the president of the NRB, Dr. Frank Wright, many distinguished guests spoke their minds on the topic of religious freedom and the ongoing battle for truth. Christians and Jews are standing together in the Unity Coalition for Israel. Join us.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Cohen, and I represent the Center for Jewish Christian Understanding and Cooperation. It's a mouthful, CJCUC, which was founded by Rabbi Shlomo Riskin in order to facilitate discussion, dialogue, understanding between Bible-believing Christians and Jews all over the world. We invite people to come visit our center in Efrat and in Jerusalem, and I invite all of you to invite us to come to your communities. We're here at the NRB, the National Religious Broadcasters Conference, and we're honoring the President and CEO, Dr. Wright. Broadcasting is worthless unless there's somebody on the other end who's listening. We could broadcast all we want. There's one church that I've become very familiar with. They uses a Bible called the Amplified Bible. You can amplify all you want. If there's nobody on the other end that's listening, it's worthless. In fact, in Proverbs, God says, Be'en chazon yifara'am, where there is no vision, the people die, the people perish, the people become unrestrained. There are many different translations for that. And I know that for a fact, because if I drove for 1 minute without my glasses, many people would die, myself included. So I know this to be a fact. At the end of the Talmudic tract, Makot, there is a wonderful story of the rabbi whose tradition, I think all the Jews in this room will acknowledge that they follow, the tradition of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva and his students arrive in Jerusalem after the destruction of the temple. And they see foxes running through the rubble. And the students in the Jewish tradition tear their shirt and begin to cry. And Rabbi Akiva begins to laugh. Mm-hmm. And the students look at Rabbi Akiva and say, Rabbi, how could you be laughing? And the rabbi says to his students, well, in the Jewish way, ask a question with a question, how could you be crying? So the students say, Rabbi, look, the temple of God is destroyed right in front of us. The Holy of Holies, the place where my ancestors from the family of Aaron, only one was able to walk into once a year, and even he hardly ever survived. There were hundreds of high priests because they barely ever came out of there alive. That place is now being desecrated by foxes. How could you be laughing? And Rabbi Akiva looked at his students and said, my sons, that's exactly why I'm laughing. Because until this moment, everything I read in the Bible was based on belief, was based only on faith. I believed it was true. I had faith it was true. I trusted it would come true. I have now seen with my own two eyes that the prophecy has come true, that the prophecy of destruction has come true, and I've seen it with my own two eyes. I now know for a fact that the prophecy of redemption will come true. Amen. And that is why I am laughing. And his students looked at him and said, Akiva, you have consoled us. Akiva, you have consoled us. When you're broadcasting, there has to be somebody on the other end there and listening. So let's try and listen. Let's try and listen for a second. As many of you know, the Jewish community has pre-prescribed list of what we study every single week. No matter where you go in the Jewish world, it doesn't matter if it's Yemen, if it's Poland, if it's South America, North America, Jews at the farthest part of the earth. It's one of the great miracles of the last 2,000 years, is no matter where you go, you will find that the Jews are studying the exact same thing. There's a little bit of an aberration somewhere in the summer because there are 2 days of holiday, but it's all still pre-prescribed. So we don't go looking and searching through the Bible for, okay, something happened today, let me go try and find a truth in order to prove it. But when something happens today, and it's on the same day, it's at the same time that this has been pre-prescribed, and we don't listen, something's wrong. 15 years ago this week, 2 helicopters collided in northern Israel over a town called Sha'ar Yishuv, the remnants of the settlement. Sha'ar Yishuv was the son of Isaiah. The only place in the Bible that this gentleman is mentioned is in Isaiah 7:3. In Isaiah 7:3 it says, and again, Hashem said to Isaiah, "Go out and meet Achaz, you and your son Sha'ar Yishuv, at the edge of the channel of the upper pool, at the road of the launderer's field, and say to him, be calm and be still, fear not, let your heart not grow faint before these 2 smoldering spent firebrands." If you watch television in Israel on that Saturday, or Saturday night in our case, you would see that people who had never opened a Bible in their life were describing the 2 helicopters falling down from the sky as 2 smoking firebrands, as 2 plumes of burning smoke. Smoke doesn't burn. Fire burns and makes smoke. But they were describing it as plumes of burning smoke. That was the same Shabbat, that was the same week that this was what was read in every synagogue in the Jewish world. Isaiah 7:3. Okay. But how many soldiers were killed that day, as Pastor David pointed out? 73 soldiers died that day. That's not a coincidence. If we're willing to listen, if we're willing to hear, and I don't have the time to go into all, let alone some, when Gilad Shalit was released a few months ago, the remarkable proofs that existed in the biblical testimony that we read that very day, whether you agree with what happened, how it was done, or disagree with what happened or how it was done, the fact that it was going to be done that day in that way was right in the Bible, and it is irrefutable. My wife pointed that out to me. We're almost, as the rabbi said, at the holiday of Purim. And I could think of no name that this amazing woman could have had. No name. Your parents were prophets. Because they could not have given you a better name. Because there is no one in my life that I have met who doesn't wait for the king to put out his staff and say, scepter, and say, come and speak. Esther goes to the king and says, I have something to say. Period. And I have learned in the short 30 years or so that I've been involved in this, I have learned so much from this woman, and I hope that for many years to come, I will continue to have the privilege of being able to check my facts with Esther, get a phone call in the middle of the night from Esther, get yelled at in the middle of the night from Esther, and be asked, we're doing this new project because every day there's something else that has to be achieved, And I hope that for many, many years to come, we'll all have the opportunity to be able to benefit from Esther's leadership. Thank you.
Since 1991, the Unity Coalition for Israel, UCI, has educated and motivated millions of people around the world to action in support of Israel. UCI is an alliance of Christian and Jewish organizations and individuals working together to ensure the sovereignty, safety, and security of Israel, America's only reliable democratic ally in the Middle East.